What's up, everybody? This is Brian. A little bit of housekeeping before we jump into the episode. So we obviously have today's episode, which is very exciting. And then we're going to run into a little bit of a snafu. Between Nick and I, basically both of our computers have been taking huge dumps. Each week we try to record fucking spanakopita, so this episode is just not coming together. So we are going to be down again next week, which I apologize. I will try to find something cool and awesome to play in its place, like we did with Damage Boost last week. And then after that, we're going to get our shit together, and we're going to bring you Spanakopita. So I apologize. We're going to be down for another week next week, but you do have this week, so enjoy this, and enjoy whatever the hell it is I find for you next week, and then we will be back with Spanakopita. God damn it. So, sorry again. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, that's it. Brilliant conclusion.
Nice, we're undercover, moron. We were.
We've been wearing these sweaty-ass, stinking, spit-soaked masks for a week. For nothing.
Good one, Chubbs. The kid's dead. So is Tom.
You killed an 8-year-old kid with the corpse of the only guy who knew where Long Division's secret base was. Ah! That's so Raven!
Gary, you better shoot me or something, because I'm about to kill you.
I was being a good guy. You left me, Sphinx. What did you expect me to do? Honestly, use the hot tub a couple of times. Not run around like a lone wolf fighting crime that we are already fighting.
Is this my crossbow?
Oh, come on. It makes me feel like a Wookiee.
No. This is my crossbow.
So, hi. Welcome to Venture Bros, Venture Brothers Podcast. With me, your host, as always, Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Nick, Slugabed, Friedemann.
I'm no snail.
That's true. It's a very fair response to Slugabed. And then Graham is no longer with us for some time. We don't know when he's coming back, but until he does, we have Mr. Matt Cad Dykes.
I've heard CAD.
You've heard CAD?
Yeah, I've heard CAD.
Is it a
I've been
British
called
one?
one before.
There's a chance it's just a British insult, and this website just has it wrong.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure someone's called me a CAD before.
Do you know what it means?
No idea. I just sort of smiled and nodded and went, okay.
It's a mean fellow trying to worm out of something or another, either money or information.
Huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
worm
I'm a
something
bit of a worm.
Yeah, out of another. So you're an asshole who tries to get information out of people. You're CAD.
Ah, so like a spy.
Yeah. Nick, any idea on Slugabed?
I'm impotent.
Is that just you admitting that, or is that what you think it is?
Little of column A, little of column B. Well, no, there's no columns, I guess, if you're impotent.
Well, they are. They're just very soft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It means a parasite that cannot rise in the morning.
So impotent.
Okay, so impotent.
Yeah. I guess. Close enough. All right. I'm liking these old-timey insults, and unlike the first episode when I was very afraid that they were going to end up being racist, so far I think we've been okay. I think.
Well,
I haven't heard
make sure
anything.
they're not racist before you say them.
I've tried, and then sometimes, I haven't had the experience yet, but I have, looked up an old-timey insult and then found out, oh, God. So far, I've not made that mistake. But, again, apologies in advance if I do.
There's someone out there somewhere who's like who's like a CAD somewhere going, oh, there.
So probably. So to that one person, I apologize. I think we should get started.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready to talk some Venture Brothers Season 5, SPHINX Rising. I think it's a pretty good one, personally.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it'll be a fun one to talk about.
It's got one of my favorite moments of the Monarch in.
That's a bold statement with the Monarch.
Yeah.
Bold statement. But okay, so here we go. Do you want to, Matt, since you haven't been on in a while, do you want to do a quick breakdown of the episode, say what happens?
Why not?
Go for
it. 21 is trying to be a good guy, and he tries to take out a minor league villain called Short Division. He ends up making a huge mess of the situation by accidentally killing Short Division with his own henchmen, and also blowing a OSI operation that Brok and Shawleave have been undercover on. He returns to the Sphinx base and tries to recruit a new team. Unbeknownst to him, pretty much all the members that he recruits are the old Sphinx who are looking for revenge, and then Hank shows up as well. The Monarch and Dr. Mrs. the Monarch infiltrate the Venture compound wearing Scooby-Doo magic masks and plant bombs all around the compound. Sergeant Hatred enlists Dean's help to track down the explosives and remove them. Thinking the explosives were planted by 21, they leave the explosives on the Sphinx base's doorstep. While this is all going on, Old Sphinx overthrows 21 and charges towards the OSI hover quarters on a suicide mission. Brok and Shaw leave board the Sphinx flying base and take control, and then the Monarch detonates his explosives at the same time as Colonel Gathers orders the destruction of the Sphinx flying base, which results in both the Sphinx base on the Venture compound and the flying base being destroyed simultaneously.
That's about it, if not everything. I think that's a good job. So we are, just so people know, we are running a little blind on this one. We just have what we've seen on it. Our note taker Brok, unfortunately, could not find a lot on this episode. There's not a lot of info out on this one. So there's a little bit in the book, and you have the commentary. That's about it, though, which is kind of interesting, I think. Like, this one doesn't really rank very high with a lot of Venture Brothers fans, so they don't really have a lot to say about it. I really like the episode.
I do too.
Nick, what about you?
I'm kind of lukewarm, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
do you
there
know
are things
what brings you there?
I wish that we spent more time on the Sphinx stuff.
Meaning,
I feel like
you wish it wasn't a one-off, or that we just only spent time with them?
I wish it was almost only them.
Okay.
Because I like the Monarch and Mrs. the Monarch storyline, but I just don't think that it fits with the Sphinx storyline. And I had completely forgotten about it heading into this episode.
I pretty much agree, but it feels to me like one of those situations where they just didn't have enough Sphinx stuff to fill the space, I guess. Because it really feels like they're like just jettisoning everything Sphinx related in one episode. Like, let's just get it all over and done with and just leave it behind.
For sure. But then I think my argument is that we've given so many people on this show like pretty good send-offs. Even if they don't feel great, it feels like, well, this is the end, right? Even if they're a one-off or just like a 2-episode character, it still feels kind of like, oh, okay, like I get where they're coming from. But in this, I just felt like I don't really understand the motivation. Even though they spell it out pretty directly, I'm still kind of like, but why?
I mean,
you know,
I don't mind the motivation. The motivation was essentially just that we all have bombs in our heads. We're going to die in a year. We're going to go out like fucking Sphinx, guns blazing. Like, I kind of like that. I think that's a good through line.
I guess, but then did they go out guns blazing?
Well, no, because they got stopped.
They got they got stopped doing it. But I sort of agree with Bryan on this one as well. It's the motivation. I've never had an issue with it, because the motivation for me was always, well, we're gonna die anyway, and I'd rather go down fighting than looking for the like nappies or whatever it is that I've forgotten his name now. One of the Sphinx guys looking for like his baby's thing that it keeps screaming out. Decisions like going down like that or going down taking out the OSI. And if I was Sphinx, I know what I'd do.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I see what Nick's saying, that because there is really no payoff to it, it feels like what was the real purpose of that motivation. But at the same time, they even admit we got our asses kicked by OSI all the time. So that really is how they go down. Like, they go down getting killed by OSI because that was their norm.
Yeah.
Right. I get that, but I think that for me the problem is that I don't sympathize or empathize with like any of them, because I just don't feel like, besides the guy that looks like Sub-Zero, I'm like, who cares? I think that if there was one of them that I could kind of like resonate with, then I'd be happier. I mean, Sphinx Commander is exactly who he should be. He's kind of like just screaming all the time. Like, there's not really much else I need
Sphinx
from him.
Commander!
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Snake guy is like okay, and the Sub-Zero guy is okay. I just feel like if they wanted it to land, I feel like I needed more.
I guess I could see that. I mean, I like the Sphinx Commander. My biggest problem with him is that I feel like we're kind of repeating a plot line from the Baron Underbite episode.
Oh, totally.
And like that, it didn't feel like a callback. It felt more like recycling.
Oh, for sure. This episode, I think that's also kind of the problem too, is that it feels kind of like we've seen this before in this show and better.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like we've mentioned before that this is the last season on the compound. And I think it's episodes that are kind of like this one, although I really like it. I obviously like it more than Nick does. But this is like, oh, we're starting to run out of ideas on the compound.
Totally. Well, they're even starting to destroy the compound. Permanently.
Yeah. I mean, I think the part of it was, for this one, they did love writing the Sphinx stuff. Like Doc Hammer especially, right in the book, he mentions that he loved writing Sphinx, but they wanted Gary to get 21 Gary to be in the Venture compound, interacting with Rusty more, and so it was, the way to do that is they have to destroy Sphinx. So it was kind of like they would have loved to have kept Sphinx, but they wanted him to interact with Rusty more, so they had to get rid of Sphinx so he could interact more.
I mean, that makes sense. I totally see why they did that. But at the same time, it still kind of feels like OSI disappeared for a while and they came back around. Like, I feel like Sphinx could have just disappeared for a while and just left the compound and Gary behind.
But Gary was the only thing that left of Sphinx.
No. I mean, like, if his plan had succeeded and all the original Sphinx came back.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
That way we didn't really entirely lose Sphinx, because I think Sphinx is hilarious, but I do think it's funnier with the OSI people, because without Shoreleave yelling Sphinx after every time somebody says it, it's not quite my favorite comedic thing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess I'm more lukewarm on this than I thought I was. I do really enjoy it while I'm watching it, but I think I enjoy it just mostly because of Hank and Sphinx Commander.
Totally.
I think it's one of those episodes, like, when you dig into the story more, you sort of think, it's not the best, but then when you're actually watching it, there's so many moments in it that are just so funny.
Yeah,
you forget about it.
I'm assuming you say your favorite Monarch moment, you're talking about the lunchroom?
Yeah, that whole thing. Literally, where it's it's probably an acid or a magnet of some kind, like smash cut to the Monarch going, "Ready the acid magnet!" It's like my favorite line of his all, just ready the acid magnet, and then the whole speech about zap, fizzle, acid magnet, just it absolutely kills me. I've seen the episode, I must have seen it like 10-15 times easily, and that still makes me laugh my ass off. I don't know what it is about it that gets me, but it's so funny. And then I think it's the way it's edited together, with it's cutting back to Gary just basically predicting everything he's gonna do. It's like, and then he's gonna make the really terrible decision to jettison the lunchroom.
And I also just love Gary knowing, like, is it like Thursday? Oh, there's wings over there. We should go get them. They're great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but like that's the kind of to what Nick was saying. I feel like as great as all that is, it feels really out of place in the Sphinx Commander episode.
Yeah. I think it's like it's weird. It's kind of like it's an episode that tries to showcase Gary a little bit, but then he gets overshadowed by the Sphinx characters. So
totally.
It's like it's a what do they call it? Like a victim of its own success, kind of. Like they make these characters that are really good, and you love the characters, but the problem is they then overshadow the main character of the episode.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of unfortunate, because maybe Nick was right. If this was just an entire Sphinx episode, like old school G.I. Joe with just the original Sphinx, I think we probably would have had a little bit more fun with it. But then we lose this entire Monarch story, which is, although not super important, I do love seeing the Monarch and Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch work together. Like it's always just fun. It's just a great time. Like especially like the entire conversation of like, oh, put on your disguise. What are you talking about? I'm a supervillain. This is all I own.
Yeah. And he's like, I might have some T-shirts from my stag party or something.
Yeah, which is Beaver Inspector, which they just fucking roll with, which is great.
Yeah, I love how they roll with that. But my favorite bit of that is the way Rusty says the word vagina. That means you want to inspect a vagina.
Oh, Rusty. Nick, what do you really like about the episode? If you're kind of lukewarm on everything, like what works the best for you?
Well, what's funny is I actually really like both storylines. I think it's just how they intersect is what bothers me about this episode. I really like Mrs. the Monarch and the Monarch going to fuck with Rusty by just doing a very like throwback early season henching of Rusty, which is just, let's just go and fuck his day up. That's pretty much what it was. Like, I don't think that for them it really mattered much if the bombs destroyed part of the compound, the whole thing, or nothing at all. I think for them it's more of the, like, whole experience. And I feel like they're having fun, which then makes me really like the whole thing. Like, rolling with the whole Beaver thing, going down into the catacombs, Rusty just being oblivious. Like, everything to me works really, really well. But it just doesn't gel, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense, because I totally agree. I think on their own, they both are just very good episodes. My only problem, and maybe it's the intersect thing that we're talking about, is when Hatred goes back through the basement and he finds all those bombs, and he leaves them at the Sphinx warehouse door. What is he trying to do?
Oh, I have no idea. I was so confused about that too.
I took it as he thought it was Gary, 21, who'd planted the bombs. I took it as he doesn't trust Gary. He doesn't believe that he's a good guy. And I took it as he thinks that it's Gary who's planted them. So he's taking them back to him. That's how I sort of like read it as.
I guess.
I think you're probably right. But it just doesn't land, because there is the whole thing where he's having that argument with him, I think, like right at the very beginning, which is like once a bad guy, always a bad guy. So I think that that's what they're trying to set up, but it just doesn't. I never made that connection, but I think that you're probably right.
I think he has like a throwaway line, does Hatred as well, or something about like, that'll show him or something like that when he puts the box down at the end as well, which is what made me think, oh, he's taking the bombs back to Gary. He thinks that it's Gary that's planted them.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just either it's not explained well enough or it just feels odd. And I'm not sure which one it is. But either way, I don't think that whatever joke they're trying to do there, a story beat, I don't think it fully lands.
I think that there was an episode not too long ago, or maybe it was a while ago, where there was a very similar situation where, it's the where Gargantua 1 crash lands. There's this whole thing of like nobody has a clue why they're celebrating the Manstrong, because like all he did is like crashed it and everyone's celebrating. Like the whole thing of it was apparently he landed Gargantua 1 on a terrorist compound, but that is nothing like that. There's like a newspaper article that drops in like very quickly, and like that's the only thing you like know about it, of why that happens. And I think it's another one of those situations where they've tried to explain it, but it's just been very, very, very unclear.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we should change gears. Let's kind of go through the Sphinx commanding team, like, because as much as the Sergeant Hatred and all that sort of stuff kind of bothers me, the thing that I love the most about this episode is that old school G.I. Joe feel with that team, and I think it's great. And my favorite thing about it, and it's really just because I love him as an actor, and the few times he came into my Starbucks when I was in Chicago, he was the nicest guy in the world. But anytime Tim Meadows is in anything, I'm a little bit happier.
Yep.
So as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, ooh, I'm a fan. But I do think he has some of the best lines too, and I think it's just the way that he delivers everything. Like, it's just like when Gary goes like, "Oh, you overthrew everything from me," and he's like, "Yeah," and it was super easy, like way too easy. I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's just like the way Tim Meadows says it of like, "Yeah, because you're a fucking idiot." It's just so good, and he is so good at delivering that style of line of like saying something that does not mean what it says in words. That makes sense, right? It's that alternate meaning. He is so good at that. Just like, I'm insulting you, and you're not really paying attention to it.
I think the line was something like, "Yeah, we did, and it was super easy. You're really not good at this," or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's it. But he's kind of polite at the same time.
Yeah, it's this like, politeness to it. It's like, you're not very good at this.
It's like, it's not just like, "Yeah, you fucking idiot." It's just like, "Yeah, we did. It was really easy. You should get a new job, man. Like, this shouldn't be this easy.
This isn't gonna work out for you."
But I think he was great. I never caught his name. Like, and I've seen this episode kind of like Matt. I don't even know how many times. But the only one that I remember is SPHINX Commander, and that's just because they make that huge deal out of it.
His name is Windsong, and the other guy's name is Diamond Backdraft. I had to look both of these up.
Okay. Diamond Backdraft is such a great name. I wish they gave him more to do.
Yeah,
I love the introduction of the two characters as well, where they're literally looking at the advert online, and he's giving him the URL, and he's like, it's HTTP, and he's like, "No, you don't need to say that," and it's like, "What, really?" And then it cuts to him going, "Yeah, you've not had to do that. You've not had to put that in since the 90s." Which is quite funny because now it's like, I work in IT, and the amount of times that when I'm telling people to go to a website and they say, "Is it www?" It's like, you don't have to put that in. You don't have to do that anymore.
Just start typing. It's going to be fine. Although, to be totally honest, maybe I'm just old. I still do it from time to time. It's just force of habit.
I think I still do it every now and again, to be fair.
It's only every now, like, really when I'm not paying attention. It's like, you know what? When I was a kid, there was no computer in my house. I grew up learning how to use it.
And then for me, it's like, when I was a kid, you used to go on dial-up, and it would take you 5 minutes to load a web page, and then your time was up.
Yeah. Oh, the good days of the internet.
I think I played WoW on dial-up.
How?
Like, crazy. I don't remember. I just was thinking about this. I was like, yeah, I just remember having this like very visceral thing of being like, "Oh God, this sucks."
I had a friend of mine who had another friend who had like, he was downloading a film on dial-up, and it was and it was like this tiny screen, like maybe like, it's a podcast, that's not helpful, man. Maybe like 2 centimeters square screen that is like, you'd be able to watch it on, and it's like, it took him 3 days of solid downloading for like what was probably like a 200 megabyte video.
I was gonna say, how many bytes per second was he downloading?
Oh, I don't know. If I remember dial-up download speed, it was about 4 kilobytes a second.
Yeah, that's about what I figured. All right, let's go back to Venture Brothers a little bit. So I want to talk. We talked about Diamond Backdraft. There's not really a ton to say with him because they don't really give him a lot. I love his character.
It's a shame, really, because he's got that great suit. When he just appears in like that suit with like the 2 flamethrower things.
Oh yeah, his design is phenomenal, both in and out of costume. Like, I love the kind of old fat guy with a tie-dye shirt. Like, I love that look, and then I love his actual villain suit. Like, he looks great. And then SPHINX Commander, which is obviously like this is, I think, their closest callback to, other than the Scooby-Doo episode of, yes, this is what we're referencing. Like, oh, Cobra Commander. The voice and mask and everything.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh that his voice is like that all the time. It's like literally all the time. He's on the phone to someone. He's like, ah.
Oh, yeah. I love that it's just his normal talking voice. Like, that's so great.
Teresa, what are you doing here? He's stalking his ex-girlfriend.
And I love that's how we find him. And then and I really wish that it didn't repeat the storyline from Underland episode, because otherwise this would be phenomenal. The whole, like, well, he just kind of gets brainwashed because Hank's in her suit, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But that was so good with the Princess Leia Dean, that when I'm watching this the whole time, I'm like, I love this character and I think he's hilarious and I really like this story, but all it's doing is making me want to go back and watch that other one, which did this a little better.
Yep.
Yeah.
It also feels kind of weird because I wish that they had done something, like you're saying, I wish that they had just done something else. Like, I almost wish that he took over the suit instead of having him sit, like repeating that same kind of storyline, that they were going to do something else with it. It, like you're saying, it just kind of felt it. I think this is also part of the problem, is that it doesn't feel like, I know that they're supposed to get their asses kicked, but in a weird way, I wish it was more embarrassing. If that, like just something else that feels like closer to what I imagine Sphinx was, because the only real introduction we've had to old Sphinx was that OSI like Saturday morning cartoon intro where the jet comes and cuts Sphinx, like the Sphinx guy's head off, and then they bounce it back and forth and stuff, where it's like, oh, they're clearly outmatched, like to the point where it's just embarrassing. And in a weird way, it's like they actually kind of succeed, but it's not super. I don't know. There's something that feels off about the way that whole thing ends. And I agree with you. Maybe it's just that we've seen it before.
Yeah. Because like the strength suit we haven't seen before, and that leads to that really great moment with Hank of they're in jail and well, you're wearing her strength suit, so you're kind of throwing him for a loop. And the no response, stand up, break down the door, and throw it at Tim Meadows. I forgot it was a strength suit. Like, it's a great moment.
And it's Hank as well, because he would completely forget that it was a strength suit.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Like, that is 100% in line with his character. And then I do like the end with the whole, like, the commander freezes the suit, so he's stuck on his lap. Like, I like those extra little bits, and the Hank of it all makes it that much better. But the redundancy really, I think, is a big bruise on it, which is kind of unfortunate.
For sure.
Mm.
I think we've said pretty much everything we can about this thing. Do you want to move into our favorite characters of the episode and then move on?
Yeah.
There is the thing with like Gather's little rant at Brok and Shaw leave, just after the short division thing, is like one of the great lines of the episode is when Gathers is like, "And you gonna tell me what the fuck a Gary is?"
I do like that, and I do love Shore Leave's just constant like, "What is your deal, Gary?" Like I would honestly watch an entire spin-off show of Shore Leave and Gary. Like I love the show.
That would be a really good show, I reckon.
Just a one season. I don't need like multiple seasons of it, but I would totally just watch them hang out for a while.
I mean, like just the 21, like for a 21 centric episode as well. We've not really talked that much about 21, which is what I was saying. It was like he was overshadowed by the guest characters in his own episode.
Yeah, because this is very much his episode, and he doesn't have any of the memorable moments other than like the calling out what the Monarch does, but he calls it out. The Monarch's the funny part. He's just kind of the setup for everything throughout the rest of the episode. So I think that's kind of why we didn't really talk about him. Because
he's got that bit at the end where he runs up to him and is like, he's got the communicator and he's like, what is that? And he's like, I think it's a shake weight or something. I don't know.
Yeah. He has got good moments, but mostly what he does is just kick pebbles down the hill and lets the story go from there. So
yeah. So maybe it's not his story then. Maybe he's just the, I don't know, the thread that runs through the whole story. Then just all these events happen.
I think it's more that. Oh, the one thing that we do absolutely have to mention in this thing before we move into favorite characters is the huge plot line that we get from the photo the Monarch finds.
Oh, yes, I wrote that down as well.
Yeah, I want to make sure we don't forget that. Now, it is not the first time it's been hinted at, but it is the first time it's been hinted at so blatantly obvious that Rusty and the Monarch have been in each other's lives forever. And I don't think this is where they mention that they are siblings, but this is the first, like, we're going down that road.
Yeah.
There's no mention of siblings, but it's like he's in as like a child. Like, what is it? So like, ooh, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm looking at the photo now in the book, and like the hints are there. Like you see the Blue Morpho, or aka the Monarch's dad, with his hand on his mom's lower back, and then Jonas Sr. with his hand on her back too. So they both have their hands physically on the Monarch's mom. Like this was, I'm not sure if they've ever said if it was planned for this long, but I think it was.
I imagine it was. They seem to have planned a lot of stuff quite well in advance. With some of the things, there's stuff that's in there that there's no way that they couldn't have been setting it up. Like, from the get go of like the first episode, really, you have, his the weird dreams that Rusty's having, and that becomes JJ and everything like that. And there's a lot of stuff like that where I can't imagine that they wouldn't have. I just can't imagine they just suddenly go, oh, this is a really good idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's move into favorite characters. Nick, you're going to have to help me out with mine because I already forgot the name of mine again, even though he's my favorite character in the episode. What was Tim Meadows' character's name?
Windsong.
Windsong is my favorite character of the episode. I think he, it's Tim Meadows. I fucking love Tim Meadows. So that's really all I have for why he's my favorite, but he's definitely my favorite of the episode.
All right, mine, I would say, honestly, mine is, in this episode, probably Shore Leave. Even though he's only in it for like a tiny amount.
He's not in it much, but he does have good moments.
Yeah. He does, and it's just his level of frustration throughout the whole thing, I feel like I can empathize with.
All right, that makes sense. Matt, what about you?
I think for me, even though it's got my favourite Monarch moment in it, it's literally just one moment. So looking at the episode as a whole, I think it's probably more Hank. Just him in the strength suit is so good. I mean, like I was reading the book that was like the idea of keeping him in the strength suit for the entire season at one point, which I don't know if that would have worked or not. But I love him in the strength suit, like, and he just keeps doing all this stuff. There's no way he's doing it on purpose. Like, there's no way that he crashed through that wall on purpose and did the hero pose and then jumped and did all this stuff on purpose. It's all by accident. I'm so sure of it. I mean, I even have that line of him forgetting it's a strength suit. He probably forgets he's in that suit. I think, like, as they sort of say in the book, it would have just been Hank around the compound breaking stuff all the time, and it just would have got very boring very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's everything for this episode. We will do a quick round of plugs, and then we will say goodbye. So very quickly, all together now. We have After the Hype on Thursdays. We have Samwise, I think, on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Then we have Demon Days, either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I will remember which day those shows come out on at some point. It's my own goddamn network. I really should.
I think Samwise is Wednesdays.
Thank you. And then we have Damage Boost, our new show that comes out on Fridays. And that comes from our note taker from this show, Mr. Brok Holliday. So Brok has been crushing it. If you have any interest in being a gamer, or have liked gamers, or have been interested in gaming streamers, or anything of the like, be sure to check out Damage Boost. Brok has been crushing it on a weekly basis, so I highly recommend it. Nick, Matt, anything you're plugging these days?
Anything from you, Nick?
Nope, nothing.
No?
You liar!
I'll just plug the articles as usual. I'm working on another big one. I'm not gonna say what it is yet, but I'm doing a hell of a lot of research, and it's gonna be huge. It's
Fun.
gonna be massive.
And you just had your time travel one come out. This comes out a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So by the time this episode comes out, I think the moon landing one should have come out. I think.
It should have come out this past Friday, if scheduling is correct. Yeah.
So that means when this comes out, I'm in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, you will be out here when this one comes out. You have to listen to it sitting in traffic with the rest of us.
No, I'll be walking around at that point.
Okay, thank you everybody for listening. I'm going to say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.